Matt Vander Boegh, everybody. Woohoo! What are some of the things that help you stay the course over the years to get where you are today?
Well, so I think every step along the path, um, there's like incremental pieces of success that you get along the way.
Okay.
And every time you hit one of those new, like little benchmarks, it reinvigorates you to keep going. I went through, when I first got started, 68 returns, aka rejections. So like Michael Lasco's not here, so we can call them rejections. We don't have to sugarcoat that word.
I won't tell him, don't worry.
Yeah. So we got rejected 68 times in a row. And just do the math on that at $5 a pop. And I was like, I'm not cut out for this. But then I finally got that first forward and I was like, oh yeah, baby, come on. I can do it. I did something right. So if I can just repeat that, then I can do it again. If I did it once, I can do it again. And so that was like the first little incremental success benchmark. And then after some forwards, I'd start getting calls from libraries, like wanting to sign the song. Then I went through a period of time where I was getting more deals signed and kind of building my network of libraries that I worked with. Yep. And it was all very encouraging. And then I finally, after a couple of years of doing it, got my first placement. And that was another thing that like just lifts you up and tells you that you can actually do it, that your stuff is not only good enough to get forwarded through Taxi, but it's good enough for a company to sign it. And it's also good enough to land on a TV show.
Are most of your placements then songs or instrumental cues or both?
Both, but the lion's share by far is instrumental cues.
Okay.
That's where I make almost all of my money. I was just like ready kind of to throw in the towel, but I had this fortuitous meeting. Okay. Not even a meeting. It was just, I bumped into this guy and I'd see him at various places. We sat next to each other at one of the classes. Yeah. And then we were on an elevator together. I was kind of lamenting the fact that my country music wasn't going anywhere. Yeah. And he's like, well, why don't you try writing for TV shows?
Oh, he told you that?
He told me that. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. He kind of threw it out there as kind of like an offhand comment, like, hey dude, just try this, maybe change your plan of attack. And then he was off the elevator and gone.
Yeah.
And but that fleeting comment stuck with me, and I went down.
That's amazing. Like that really, honestly, sorry to interrupt you, but that 15 seconds in the elevator was like really changed things for you, right?
Dude, life changing. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, I came home from that road rally and decided I needed to learn how to do all this stuff on my own, and I couldn't rely on recording studios. If I was going to do this, I had to do it on my own, because like, first of all, if you're going to recording studios to make music all the time, you're just going to go bankrupt. Like you won't have any money left. Yeah. It's not feasible in this industry. Yeah. And furthermore, the time, like you got to be able to work a lot on your own schedule, and you can't work around their schedule. Yeah. So I was like, I got to do this on my own, and just, put the pedal to the metal and tried to learn as much as I could.
Can you tell us about a typical day for you working in the studio, and what's your process of like building a cue, or like what's a typical day look like for you right now?
Yeah. So what you're looking at right now is my studio.
Yeah.
This is it's a bonus room above my garage, basically.
Okay.
But it also, like, you probably can't see a lot of it, but I think over here you kind of see, what is that, like?
You see your daughter's
box full of Barbie dolls.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I share this space with my daughter. Basically, this is her playland. I think right there, if you can see, that's a Rapunzel tower. A typical day is, I try to.
You got time from when you drop her off, come back home, then get in the chair until you have to go and pick her up, basically.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yep. I try to sneak a trip into the gym right after I drop her off at school. I do that, and then I come home and fire up the coffee pot and just sit down and do the work until I have to go pick her up from school.
What kind of cues are you working on right now?
Right now I'm doing some really, really stripped down comedy stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. The company that's looking for it they're calling it beat driven comedy. which I've done so much of that in my career, and I always did it. It was called urban comedy, and I was kind of on the initial wave of composers that kind of developed that genre. But now they're kind of getting away from some of the urban stuff, and it's comedic stuff that just has a nice groove underneath it.
How many pieces of music do you think you have out there working for you right now?
Yeah, it's north of 4,000 at this point.
Okay. And so the big number, the 15,000, probably a lot of like alt versions and that kind of thing and cut downs and as well, right? Or they're not, or are they all individual pieces of music?
Gosh,
I'm just
no,
curious.
some of those, it depends. So some libraries will register every single alt version that you send them. So you could have a queue, let's just call it a protein shake, because that's what I'm looking at here.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Cheers to you.
You're ripping queue called protein shake. Okay. Some companies will register protein shake, and then like that's kind of an all-encompassing thing. So when a TV show uses the bass and drums mix, it's still tied to the protein shake registration.
Right. And that registration, Matt's talking about registration into a PRO.
Into a PRO. Yep. But other companies like to register every single alternate version you send them. So it'll be like protein shake, bass and drums.
Right.
Protein shake, no lead. Protein shake, no drums.
Right.
And protein shake, 30 seconds. And that kind of artificially inflates your track count.
Do you collaborate a lot or work more on your own these days?
I do collaborate on a lot of cues if they involve things that I can't do on my own.
Right.
Like I just turned in a big package of hick hop,
right,
country with hip hop stuff underneath it, for a library, and I used a lot of collaborators on those tracks because I can't play guitar, I can't play any of those instruments.
Yeah, exactly.
Now vocal songs, I always collaborate on those because I don't sing. I do get approached quite often by people who want to collaborate on hip hop stuff, like hip hop production.
Yeah.
Because they make beats. Anyways, they'll be like, I make all these beats, and I thought it'd be great to work together. Like, well, what can you supply that I can't do on my own?
You can already do that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I can already do that. So I don't need to bring someone else into the fold who's supplying the same skill set that I already have. The best collaborations are those where two or more people provide complementary skill sets that the other people don't have in the group.
Yeah. How do you balance your studio work life and your personal life?
Well, it's easy to balance that when you don't have a personal life.
Okay. Well, you have a daughter though. Like you've got
Yep. So my personal life just basically consists of raising a 6.5-year-old girl and going to the gym, and that's about the extent of it for me.
Yeah. So I think the main thing is like you do like get the work done, right?
Yeah.
That's really what I'm referring to, is like you got your personal life, but you also know when it's time to work and get the job done, right?
Yeah. And that's what makes this particular like industry or career path so much different than, well, most other things. I guess anyone who's ever owned their own business knows the struggle, right? It's you are always in work mode because there's always something that needs to get done, and you don't just leave the office and go home and get to collect your salary and forget about it. Once the 5 o'clock alarm bell goes off, you're like, whoop, and see ya, someone else's problem now. And you're gone.
Yeah, I'm out.
That's a beautiful thing for anyone working in corporate. You can just walk away at the end of the day. But we don't get that luxury because there are times when someone needs something and they need it right away. So here you are at 10:30 at night, and you're putting in an hour or an hour and a half of work. You're exhausted, but you got to get it done because they need it to present to a client at 8 a.m. New York time. So you got to get it done before you go to bed.
Because sometimes it's not on your schedule, and that's the thing of being flexible, especially when you start working directly for music libraries and publishers. They work on their time, and more importantly, their clients' time. And sometimes it's pretty fast turnaround stuff, right?
Yep.
Do you have any advice for the attendees today that might be just kind of starting out or perhaps don't have their first forward or deal yet, any insights or things that you can pass on to help them be more successful?
Yep. Two things.
Good.
Okay. So first of all, nothing in the music industry is an overnight success.
Mhm.
If you're just getting into this world, you're not going to see any money for at least 1 year, maybe 2 years, maybe longer. I mean, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I want to instill some reality in people here that
Yeah, no, it's good.
you can't just be like, I'm going to write music for TV, so I'm quitting my job and going to go all in.
Yeah.
Okay, well, great. You're not going to have any. I hope you got a nest egg to live on, because you're not going to make any money for a while. And that's just that's the nature of the business. Like, even if, let's just assume that you quit your job today and then wrote a track that got placed on a show tomorrow, like, if you had that type of instant success, my goodness, that would never happen. But even, let's just go with it here. Let's say if that did happen, you still wouldn't receive your money from that placement for like 6 to 9 months.
And let's talk about that a little bit, at that timeline. Because so many people think it's like a quick, I get paid right away, because it's not like that. Go ahead.
No. Well, and this is just the way that PROs collect royalties, is they wait until, so let's say, I'm getting all tangled up here. If something airs on TV, you have to wait until the close of that calendar quarter. Okay. And then wait 2 more entire quarters. So we're talking a 6-month wait plus whatever was remaining of the quarter that your music was aired in. So it could be anywhere from 6 to 9 or 6 months to 8 months and 29 days is how long you will be waiting to get your royalties.
And that's just domestic.
That's just, that's just domestic. If your stuff got played in, I don't know, France, then you go ahead and add another 6 to 9 months on top of that. Sync money, like if you're lucky enough to land some type of sync deal that maybe gives you a couple $1,000 up front, well, don't expect to see that for 6 months too. It took 1 year and 3 months, I think, until I got that money. And that was me constantly hounding them.
Yeah.
Like every couple of months. Hey, what's the scoop on that money? Kind of was under the impression that upfront money would be faster than royalties.
Yeah.
But nothing's quick in this business. So that's the one thing to keep in mind, is that the industry itself can move fast, but the money always moves slow. But the second thing, and I think this is maybe an inspirational thing, is that anyone can be successful in this business, supposing they have even a modicum of musical talent. Yeah. And if you're willing to put in the work, you can get there. One big takeaway for everyone here is that if you just stay with it and don't ever quit, just keep working, you will eventually have gotten so good and have outlasted all the fly by night, here today, gone tomorrow people. And you'll be one of like the last man standing, and you'll be good enough by then, and you'll have enough music that, it's a simple matter of outlasting the competition, but also not giving up the work either.
You stick it out, eventually things will happen, and you'll find your way. Because that's the thing. Not every library is for, one library's person's success will not be in somebody else's. Like, you've got to find your own journey. That's why there's not so much competition kind of at this level and the top, because everybody's doing different things, and you've got to find out where things are going to open up for you and your music and what you do. Because even though 2 people are doing tension, it doesn't necessarily mean that both are going to work for the same library. What would you say are the best resources for learning current songwriting best practices?
The research aspect of going to production music websites and listening to their material.
That's a good point. Where do you find the right production music libraries to listen to that music?
Well, I go to the big ones, which I don't have any music in. So I check out Extreme Music quite a bit to see what they're signing and what it sounds like. I go to Killer Tracks. You can go to APM Music, which they've just changed their name. And now it's Universal Production Music.
I was just going to say that one. Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks a lot, Matt. Really appreciate your time.